Hello, this is Teri Manolio. I'm proud to be the chair of the 2020 ASHG Program Committee, and I wanted to give a brief overview of the meeting, abstract submissions and registrations. I have nothing to disclose. This is the ASHG Program Committee. My sincere thanks out to all of them in the top 3 rows here who've spent a tremendous amount of work putting together this year's program, and particularly thank the ASHG staff involved in the planning and carrying out of the program. On the bottom row here, really put forward a heroic effort in getting together this first ever virtual program. Just a brief summary of abstract submissions and registrations. Not surprisingly, both are down for this year. I think particularly for the abstracts, there was so much uncertainty by the time of the June submission deadline in terms of whether people could travel and even whether the meeting would be in person or virtually. That not surprisingly, the number of abstracts shown in the blue line here was down from the Houston meeting to about 2,200 or so. And the number of registrations as of October 16th is also quite a bit down. But we expect, as often happens, that in the closing days of registration that those numbers will increase. Looking at abstract submissions, we really continue to have a good representation around the globe, shown here in varying colors of salmon, I guess that is. You can see that there are submissions from multiple countries in Europe, obviously the US and Canada, but over, I believe, 13 countries in Africa, 6 countries in Latin America, numerous countries in the Middle East and the Far East. So we're doing quite well in terms of representation around the globe. Looking at the proportion of submissions, though, not surprisingly this year, as in other years, the majority are submitted by the United States investigators. The top 20 other countries are shown here in varying colors to the left, and then about 6% from other countries. And then those are kind of blown up in the pie chart to the right of the non-US countries. You can see that Canada is the leading country at 15% of total submissions, 15% of submissions from non-US countries. The UK follows it by 13%, and then that's followed by Japan, China, Australia, all from the East, etc. Compared to previous years, the proportion of submissions from non-US countries is down a bit. Previously, the US had made only about 60% of those submissions. And you can see, again, Canada and the UK tend to be the leaders of the non-US countries. And then looking at submissions overall, we recognize there was about a 36% decrease in submissions. This was, in some ways, it made our task perhaps a little bit easier on the program committee, but it was made more complicated for this virtual year because we have far fewer platform sessions than we had previously. And as you can see, the non-US submissions were down by about 50% compared to the US submissions, down by about 25% or so. People are always interested in the topics that are submitted. Shown along the left are the topics sort of arrayed in order of their frequency by abstract submissions for this year. These categories change a bit over time because the science changes over time. And so there are some that are not represented here because their names have changed over the years. And as you can see, one of them, molecular effects of genetic variation, actually is a new name for a previous topic, genome structure and function. If you compare this to the average across the past 7 years, shown here in sort of tan, you can see that for the most part, they're pretty stable over time, although there have been some noted shifts, a little bit fewer in Mendelian phenotypes, a lot more in precision medicine, pharmacogenetics, and genetic therapies, and maybe fewer than in previous years in prenatal, reproductive, and developmental genetics, genetic counseling, and evolution and population genetics. Again, it's not clear whether this is due to the lessened non-US population representation or other trends in the science. And with that, we'll finish and thank again the program committee, which again has done a fabulous job. I might note that one of the things we do in reviewing abstract submissions is that we blind them to submitter and institution, so that we try our best not to have any bias in terms of country from which abstracts are submitted. So that's one way that we try to increase proportionate representation across the meeting. Submissions. And I'd again like to thank the ASHG staff for the making of this virtual meeting, which will probably always have an asterisk after it, but fair enough. And particularly thank all of you who hopefully will be able to join us in person again soon, but at least will participate very actively in this upcoming virtual meeting. Thank you very much.